everyone? Jason Pacheco here, Matt as always, and we have Justin Conrad, also known as UrFavLo, with us here. Millennial Real Talk Podcast, episode, I think it's 8, to be honest. We skipped last week. There was a few things going on that we couldn't make it, but we're here again. So we'll open it right up. We're at North Point Bank in Providence, home of Justin's, and we're going to go over some different things, kind of open up where you from, what school did you go to, kind of give us a little backstory about yourself, Justin.
Sure. Well, first, I appreciate you having me on. I love what you guys are doing together, so giving some knowledge to the people out there, good stuff. Yeah, I've been a loan officer for, believe it or not, for 25 years now. I was originally from Pawtucket, but I moved to Smithfield in 5th grade. And just laid my roots down there with my family. Graduated Smithfield class of 97, and I had 5 brothers growing up in Smithfield, so all younger than me.
He's from Smithfield too.
That's right.
What year did you graduate?
Connection.
Yeah. You have a brother that we graduated.
Close with my brother. Yep, Travis. So yeah, sports wise. They had a big impact on me. I learned a lot about life and how to deal with things, adversity, and through sports and a lot of good coaches. I played basketball, football, and baseball pretty much all through high school, and started in mortgages back in '97. It was actually my senior year of high school. Just looking for a job. I love putting people together. I love talking to people, and I had an opportunity through a friend that was working as a telemarketer at a mortgage company. He told me to come in. It was pretty much a guaranteed job, which my mom and dad liked.
Was it salary?
No, it was hourly with a commission. Yeah, kind of like an entry-level position. But again, I was 17 in high school, so I thought it would be a good opportunity. I didn't really fully grasp home ownership, credit, housing. Yeah. That really wasn't on my mind. It was just making mom and dad happy. And the way it ended up is I worked there for about 6 or 8 months and did well. Was one of the top application takers in the group. And like I said, about 6 months in, they decided they want to shut down telemarketing, and they decided to take myself and what was the owner's nephew and train us as juniors. A little bit more laid back at that time, obviously.
Yeah, so at that point, you're a telemarketer.
For the most part. Telemarketer for 6 months, and then trained as a junior immediately after that. So they shut down telemarketing, and they said, we'll train you up.
Junior loan officer?
Right. Junior loan officer, yep.
Cool. And what year was that?
That was 97 going into 98. Yeah, I was... Please don't age me. So it was April 1st, 1997 was my hire date in this industry. And 6 months as a telemarketer, 6 months as a junior. And then they said, here's the keys to the kingdom, if you will. Thrown into the fire. A little bit different back then. No credit scores. A lot more common sense, underwriting. A lot less guidelines. Great time to learn in the business. You could make a mistake. You could correct it, fairly easily, which was a great thing. Certainly a little bit tougher now with some of the regulations, but, generally regulations are there for good. And, you start to see a little bit more fairness across the board when it comes to lending. People not being taken advantage of, which is a good thing. Gets the bad apples out.
And for the young, people, new loan officers out there maybe listening, or real estate agents. So you were, maybe 20s here or so? 30 years old?
Average?
No, how old were you?
When I became a loan officer? I was probably about 19. Yeah,
so
19.
19. Now, were you doing any of your sphere of influence?
Yeah,
gaining trust, being that young.
Little different. So at 19, this was subprime days. So people with poor credit could get mortgages. People who didn't make the money they needed to support a mortgage could still get a mortgage. No income verification. So it was a little bit different. We had a lot of leads coming in. We had a lead source that came in, developing relationships with realtors. It just wasn't how I was brought up in the business at that time. It was kind of a different flow to it. And the platform for that company was a little different. So yeah, I didn't even get into, working with my sphere too much. What was funny is I was having this conversation not too long ago. Some people came in and they're buying a house. They're 40 years old, and here's this 19-year-old kid that lives at home with mom and dad, and they're like, what the heck's going on? But just learned, was confident. Continued to try to do the right thing and gain people's trust that I worked with, and obviously how that carries over with referrals. So. Yeah, that's kind of how I built the business. I always wanted to be fair to people. I was one of the higher producers in my office, but I made the least because I didn't charge people a lot of money. I didn't really believe that was the right thing to do. Back in those days, you could kind of set your price for what you want to charge somebody, an origination fee. There was also potential to make money by selling them a higher rate. I just wanted to give people what they deserved, what was best for them. So I didn't do any of those things, but produced.
Right.
just didn't make a ton of money doing it,
Right.
but got to go to sleep with my head on the pillow and get a good night's sleep. So.
Right. So you said the owner closed the doors at one place, and then you became a junior loan officer at was it a new company?
No, same company. He actually just closed the telemarketing
Oh,
department,
okay.
and then pushed us over with the loan officers. And I was there till, right when the collapse happened. Really, I was the last one to leave that company. It was myself and the owner, and that had to be right around 2006 or so. So I was there for a good 9 years, 10 years really. Put in my work, and the beauty of that was I was able to learn good and bad.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as we're experiencing this odd time right now in the industry, what did you do then when that crash happened? Not saying a crash is happening now,
Yep.
but what were some things that kept you making money and doing
Yeah,
well?
so I always revert back to my sincerity and honesty and what I did and the people that I helped. So, there are a lot of people that went to loan officers at that time and shortly after lost their home. And they remember that, and it wasn't always the loan officer's fault, but nonetheless, they've generally had good experiences with me. They knew I was fair. We all have to weather the storm. My pay at that time, it was essentially cut in half. I mean, the whole industry was belly up, so it was a really difficult time. I remember my wife asking if I should maybe look at a different career, and, we're strictly commission on this side of things, so it can get tough, but, my heart was there. It's all that I knew, and I knew there was a lot of potential, and there's always room for growth. So I never even thought about getting out of the business. I was full in. We weathered it for a couple of years, till about 2009, and then, things started to pick back up and change a little bit.
Yeah, was there ever, I was actually just going to ask, was there ever a time you really, thought you were going to leave the industry at all? Like, how close, was that ever close, or were you just
Maybe from my wife.
For your wife? Okay.
Yeah, I was... No, I was locked in.
You didn't want to.
No,
Yeah.
she, maybe some other side work, to help supplement it, but never get out of the business. And I didn't even end up doing that. I just figured just diving in and working harder and smarter was going to be the best way to do it. And, when you have the ability to kind of set your pay, if you will, that's a good thing. I just couldn't go back to work for $12, $15 an hour, 9 to 5. It just wasn't my type of thing. And, I'm very fortunate really to be where I'm at now. In the 25 years I've been doing this, I've only been with 4 companies, which is in this industry, is really something that's unique. It's pretty rare. I try to be a loyal guy, which is good, and they want to keep me around because I do produce. But being at North Point, kind of what flipped the switch for me was seeing some of the marketing that they were doing, some of the social branding that they were doing, and probably around 2016, I was at a company that, I didn't feel that the direction was going the right way. I didn't feel the leadership was there. I just felt like it was time for a change, and I wanted to brand myself. I wanted to stand alone from any bank. I wanted folks to call me as Justin Conrad, a loan officer, and not, Justin with X bank. So at that time, hashtags were becoming pretty popular.
Yeah.
And just one day, I made a post on Facebook, and I said, let's rock with this hashtag thing, and I did your favorite loan officer, and I did that. I mean, probably on everything I posted for like 6 months, and then people were coming up to me in the street saying, "Hey, it's your favorite loan officer," and people I didn't know, realtors, and it just turned into kind of some fun, and the brand ended up sticking. And then fast forward a couple of years later, and seeing what North Point and Zach were doing at the time, it was actually Home Point, but loved what they had to offer and loved their platform. So I made the switch, and the rest is history. It's been really good over here.
Yeah, just to hop back a little, I'm seeing on social media a lot people in the industry posting. They're saying people that have been in it for a while are posting things like, "We'll see how many real estate agents stay in the business, how many people stay in the business," or "I love this market that we're having where you actually have to know what you're doing, be experienced, grind away," because the people that don't do that, and over the past 3 years, it's been fairly easy to sell a house. Absolutely. So those people, are they going to go in do hard work now, or are they just going to filter out? And Matt, we were just talking about this on the car ride here. I mean, I've been doing it for 4 years, so I haven't really experienced it yet. Matt hasn't yet, but I was just chatting with Matt that I think, just keep working hard, save your money, and I think if you keep doing well by the client and you can be consistent with trying to get in front of people and help people, you will succeed. And what also I think we're going to see a lot, which we always did see, is company changes. Yeah. Loan officers, realtors are going to feel like it's slow. Where the leads, we're going to switch companies. The market's tough, and we're going to see that, I think. But I really don't think that will change too much. If you switch companies, you'll have a new brand behind you. But I still think it resorts back to being in front of people, hard work.
Yeah, inevitably, in this business, in any sales business, when the majority of your income is based on your production, and your production goes down and your income goes down, some people are in a position to weather the storm and some people aren't. Some people made, some good money these last couple of years. They got into the business these last couple of years, and they haven't seen or realized anything else, a tough market. And whether or not they stay in the business and put in the work, that remains to be seen, obviously. I think it's a formality that there's going to be people that fall out of the business, realtors and loan officers. Again, if you're not producing, you got to find another way to eat. So I'm sure that'll happen. I'm sure you'll see some change. I'm a firm believer that, there's a lot of good lenders out there. It's all in the leadership and the platform that works best for you. I think that goes for real estate companies too. You see people have success at one real estate company and others not, and then those others that are not having success go to a different company and they do well. Maybe the time's right for them then. Maybe the platform's different. It could be a variety of reasons, but I think you'll see a lot of that over these next 6 months or so.
Yeah. Now, the reason why you stay so busy and you said you're putting in the hard work, kind of what you're doing, I know other loan officers that they're focused on maybe in the business creating systems and how are we going to filter through these leads that come in, what are some good scripts, which is good to know, but you do a lot of community involvement. Yeah. So you make sure you stay out there as a resource, as a face, not just behind social media and things like that. So what are some, I know you're really big into the community involvement. I went to some of your events. Now, touch on some of that. The beginning, what was your purpose from it? Where'd you start? What was your first few maybe events you put together? And now, what are some big things you have done?
Yeah, I appreciate that. The community involvement kind of, it almost kind of fell in my lap in some way. So it started because my daughter was playing co-ed basketball, and I'm the dad on the sidelines that's going crazy, and I love guys, men and women that volunteer for our kids. It's amazing. I wish there was more people that did it. While I'm over there on the sidelines yapping away, my wife's saying, "Why don't you just coach next year? you know.
Right.
So it started with my daughter Carissa. She was playing basketball, and I'm on the sidelines yapping away, not as a coach. And my wife said, "Why don't you get involved in coaching?" I've had some great coaches growing up that had a big impact on me. Tom Mulhern was one of them. So I got into coaching, and I'm sincere in my message. I care about the kids. I want to impact them in a positive way. I know that there's more to life than sports, although I love them and I love to win. But I really want to give them more of an impact and teach them the right things. Parents see that. They saw the sincerity that I had. And just as an offset, they would ask me what I did, and I would tell them. And then slowly and surely, they started asking me personal questions about their situations and what they should do, what they could do. I followed that up with baseball, and then I started coaching football as well. It just opened me up to more families. So I always tell my kids, you guys cost me a lot of money, but you make me some money too, so that's a good thing. I guess that balances out. So that really got me going with my local community, which is North Providence, and with the families there. And then I want to say maybe 2015 or 2016, a good friend of mine, Lieutenant Mike Tavarozzi's in North Providence, he became the community police officer at that time. And he saw some of the stuff I was doing with the kids, some of the stuff I was doing on social, and he reached out to me and said, we'd love to have you help out. How can we change this image? What can we do as a department within the community, which, I was fortunate to be asked and tapped for. And so what we did right away, we went to work. We had some of the officers come down to some practices, meet the kids, have good, first experience with the officer, ask some questions. And then we organized a charity basketball game. It was 2018. I think it was, I want to say it was March or May of 2018. It was North Point Bank, Home Point at that time, and the North Providence Police Department. We did about $6,000 in fundraising that night. All went to youth sports in town, so we divvied it up to some different groups in town, which was awesome. They were super happy. Next year, we did a North Providence Police, North Providence Fire. That was a big hit. I think we got up to about 7,500, maybe 8,000. And then COVID slowed us down a little bit. So we had a couple years with no games. And then this past May, we did North Providence Police, North Providence Teachers. You were there.
I was there, Matt.
Matt was there.
Yeah.
It's an amazing night. Thursday night at a high school gym, we raised $9,000.
What did you do?
We had all the kids.
You had a half-court shot to win how much was it?
Yeah, half-court shot was raffled off. Winner shoots for a chance to win $10,000.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. The game went down to the wire. Police won by 1 point. Teachers had the ball with a second left. Everything worked out well. And the beauty of it really was, and I think why it was such a big hit, over 400 people in the gym, is now we have SROs, school resource officers. So we have police officers in the schools in North Providence. Not everybody has that. I think it's a beautiful thing that we have. Keep our schools safe, but also introduce the kids to the officers on the department. Let them build relationships and trust. I think there's nothing better than that. A lot of the teachers brought a lot of students. They were there to see, their fifth grade teacher, their gym teacher, whoever it was. We had signs in the gym. We had a DJ going, raffle stuff. It was really a great night. So, I try to piggyback as much as I can in my community. I love it. I want to give back to it. I want to make it the best, most vibrant community I can. I believe that the best way to do that is to have a police department that respects its community, and a community that respects its police department, and teachers that respect their students, and students that respect their teachers. Those are the two big entities of community servants in any city, right? First responders and teachers. They're touching our kids the most, being around them, and they have a really big chance to impact them. So if we want to have a good community, then building those relationships, I think, is a must. So that's something I'm
Yeah, being the North Providence community you're big on, but even I know policing, teachers,
Absolutely.
firefighters, nurses, and stuff. Like, for example, sent you a great client, state trooper. I
Yes.
remember I got an email maybe the day before the closing, and it said, like, your buyer owes X amount of money to bring to the closing. Then you hopped in there on the email saying, did you give you the first, affinity program discount?
Yep.
And she adjusted it, and he actually then got money to bring home from the closing, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's right.
nice.
Yep. Yeah, we do all first responders. It's something that I started. It's an affinity program that we offer at North Point. It's $500 off our closing costs. I've partnered that up with a couple settlement agents who give a discount on their cost as well. We do it with some with teachers also. We do some nurses and a couple other companies. Electric Boat is one of them. I know we do a tribute to freedom for all our veterans. So any veteran that we close gets a $125 donation to one of 3 nonprofits in their name from North Point Bank. So, we care, I care, and, I think giving back is a must.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So now it's mid-September, going into the fall season, winter. I mean,
First day of fall.
it is the first day of fall.
It is. Yep.
Football tonight.
Yeah.
You won't be watching it, will you?
I will be
Yeah,
watching.
yeah.
I what's it on?
Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Interesting. But I know interest rates are the big talk right now.
Yeah.
The question I get often, last year before, today, is it a good time to buy? So I kind of broke down a scenario just to start the topic.
Yeah. Love it.
So in June 2022, so just about 2-3 months ago, the rates are about a 3.9 on average. So if a buyer's pre-approved and they place an offer, get it accepted for a house that's for $350.
Yep.
You take $350 with the interest rate, they're getting about $1,589 mortgage payment, estimated without taxes and insurance.
Okay.
So that was in June. Now we come to mid-September, where rates are, I think, as high as they've been since like 2001, I saw, and it's about a 6.5 on average. Take the same scenario. The buyer's pre-approved, get a house for $350 with that interest rate of today, which is 6.5. They're looking at a payment of about $2,135. So that's an extra $550 per month. This same buyer 3 months ago now has to pay, and over a year that's $6,500. So someone in June that might have been, their parents or whoever their influencers are saying, it's not a good time to buy, let things cool down. So that buyer might have spent an extra 3 months paying rent. So that's another $5,000 toward rent or so. And now now they waited, and it's going to be an extra $550 per month they're going to put toward interest. So did that wait benefit them or not? And I don't think we can directly answer that because of where they were in life, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer the flat question that we get so often, is it a good time to buy?
Yeah.
How do you answer that?
Super loaded question, but I think it's fairly easy to answer. So everyone's situation is unique and individual to them. I'm really big on that. So every loan needs to be structured with that in mind, and you really need to get what their goals are and what their situation is. But home ownership is important. It's a big vessel. It's a great tool, and the longer you wait to do something, I think the worse it is. So, is it a good time to buy? If you can't afford the mortgage, then no. But if you can find a home that works for you and the payment's affordable, it's within your budget, then why would you not buy? It's within your budget. Even though the rate may not be 3 or 5 and it's 6.5, there's always that opportunity down the road to refinance if rates get better. If not, you bought a home, you're gaining equity, you own it, and so the answer to me is really simple. If you can afford it and it works for you budget-wise, then you should absolutely buy.
Right.
Now, with that being said, I think that I'm sure you heard it the last couple of years, 2 years ago, 16 months ago, a year ago. Hey, I'm going to wait for this market to correct. 3 years ago, it's high. I want to wait for it to correct. It's a seller's market. And think about the people that could have bought 2 and 3 years ago at 3%, or 3.5% and maybe refinance to 2.8 down the road, and how much equity and what position they would be in right now today.
Yeah, that's both of us too.
Yeah, that actually happened to me.
Ago, right?
Yeah,
we both did.
Yeah, so it's right before COVID.
Yep.
I was engaged, and my dad said, you should wait off. I think this COVID stuff, this job layoff, this everything coming to a halt is gonna destroy the value of your home. And I did not listen to him, which is okay, because I made my own decision. And luckily, I did buy because I gained about $100,000 in equity.
Yeah.
Now, I was talking to a client yesterday, went on a listing appointment, talking to him. Then he goes, "Yeah, my son's also looking." I said, "Well, if your son ever needs help, I can help him." I followed up with him today, and he said, "I told my son to wait till things crash." So if his son listens to his dad, which is totally fine, he could be hurting or helping him. Again, like you said, I think a car is a necessity. Is it a good time to buy a car? Well, if you don't have a car and you need a car, you're going to have to, do you want to walk, And same thing with a house. Is it a good time to buy? Well, if you need a place to live, then unfortunately, you're going to get your foot in the door and it'll eventually pay out. Another example here, my parents bought their house. Their first home was like $220 in Cumberland.
Okay.
Now it's $600,000. That's about 20 years went by. The home went up in value. Same thing today. I'm very confident to say when my kids buy a house, they're going to be like, "Dad, I bought my first home. It's like $1 million, $800,000. I'm like, wow. It's just how it is. I know. I think that's just how it is. And I think things will always go up. Again, like you said, very situational. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. What are you going to do?
Yep.
But if you can afford it, you're pre-approved. You can buy the house, but you're not going to buy right now because the news is telling you interest rates is high. Your parents are telling you interest rates are high. So you're going to decide to rent for a year. Take your rent, times it by 12. You lost all that money just for waiting.
Well, I'll tell you, if you listen to the news, you probably won't do a heck of a lot.
Yeah.
So, they kind of they try to steer the narrative a little bit, if you will. There are people buying houses right now. They're setting themselves up for their future. Will there be a correction in the next couple of years? Sure. It's the ebbs and flows of real estate. That's what happens. It's up and down. Will we have a collapse like we had way back, which, I'm sure you've heard it. I've heard people ask it. I would point blank say absolutely not. I was around back then. I know the level of borrowers that were being qualified and closing on homes. People aren't buying homes with 550 credit scores. There's, not taking adjustable rate mortgages. That was big. People's rates were going up, payments were going up, and they couldn't refinance. They were upside down. So, I don't see any of that. I see people with a lot of equity right now that if they are in a bad position, they'll look for you and Matt to sell their house and walk away with $100,000 and start fresh somewhere else. Whether that be renting for a year or, going back with mom and dad or whatever it is, they're going to do it with 50, 80, 100,000 in their pocket.
Right.
As opposed to just giving the house up and letting it foreclose. The other thing too is, with the appreciation that's been happening, I give this analogy a lot. If you bought a house right now and it goes up 5% in the next 12 months, which is still possible, guys, right? I mean, it's definitely slowed, but there's no inventory.
Exactly.
So the old sword that controls everything is supply and demand.
Right.
So if there's not enough supply, then there we are.
Right.
So we'll see, but I like to think that if anything does change and there is any correction, it's not going to be as significant as it was in the past. It's going to be a slower curve. And you see 5% growth over the next 12 months, and then there's a 10% correction. Well, you only lost 5%.
Right.
So, a little perspective on that, too.
Yeah, that is a loaded question. For example, is it a good time to buy? You get a house for $1,000. Is it a good time to buy? Yeah. I mean, it just depends what house you're getting into. Your situation, your credit score might help you get a little better interest rate. Maybe you can buy down points. It's all depending upon what happens here.
I think too, like people miss out on, like they just, like we all have probably a friend, cousin, family member that just, they keep on talking about buying and they never do. And 5-6 years goes by and they're just missing out on, the pay down, the appreciation and everything. So
Yeah.
Kind of like what you're saying to me. I've been saying I want a multifamily, but I keep kind of waiting. He goes, Jay, you'll be 50 years old and you'll still be saying the
I
same
know,
thing.
yeah. It's just busting.
Yeah. But Justin, I really appreciate it. Where can everyone find you? I know you're at North Point, but you got your social media.
Yeah, so we're here actually in the Turk's Head podcast room, which is North Point Bank's podcast room. We offer it up to all of our referral partners and really anyone in the community that wants to do a podcast up here. I'm here at North Point in the Turk's Head building. I have a great team behind me. It's your favorite loan team. I have Alyssa Lopes and Paul Ferreira with me. Last 2 years, we've been the Scotsman's Guide loan originator, top loan originator. It's over 100 million in volume the last 2 years, 400 plus closed units. So, we're making a difference out there. We're helping families.
Still on the strobe for you for that.
Wow, look at this. Wow, I love it. So you can find me on Facebook, just Justin Conrad or Justin Conrad, NMLS 4283. That's an old NMLS number, so I've been around for a while. And you can find me on Instagram at UrFavLo. And anywhere around North Providence at a baseball, football field, or basketball court.
All right, Justin, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for the room, too.
Guys, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.